Welcome to another one of our new special episodes of the podcast where I'm going to be doing coaching sessions with wonderful people. And I said on the last time that we did this that it's been so amazing the people that, because it was a real experiment. I basically, when I put this out, I didn't think anyone, I thought everyone might go, no way, Ray, I'm not doing that. And I had such a positive reaction to it. And also the people, I was like, yes. Since Sofaya messaged me, I was like, yes, you can. I cannot wait to chat to you. So today we've got Sofaya on the podcast. Sofaya, do you want to tell people a bit about what you do and who you are?
Yes, so hi everyone, I'm Sofaya. I am a makeup artist and beauty educator, and for that I go under the name Head Blush.
Mm-hmm.
And very recently, a creative virtual assistant, bringing all of the things that I've learned by running my business into helping run businesses for other people. So I am a creative, just in general. I think a creative when it comes to makeup, a creative when it comes to fashion, when it comes to, working online and all of those things. And I talk a lot about with Head Blush beauty standards and the bullshit of them. So I do a lot of deep thinking about such things, and I think that's why, I love your content so much, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, I am not a shallow thinker. But it means I do sometimes fall into my own pool of thoughts.
Yes.
Like head first.
Trapped in a glass case of emotions.
Exactly.
I can relate.
So I think that your question as well really reflects that kind of deep thinking from what you're saying. So do you want to let us know what, and if you can't remember, I've written it down, but do you want to let us know what you came today wanting to chat about? And I should say as well, the idea of today's episodes is really that we get to some kind of shift for Sofaya, some kind of realization, some kind of often as a coach, you're listening to this, so it's different. But as a coach, you feel that shift for people. Sometimes it's a facial thing, sometimes their body changes, sometimes they just go, oh, I always go, oh God, oh. But yeah, we'll see what shows up as we chat through this. So do you want to share with the people listening what the kind of question you came with today was?
Yeah, well, it might be good to provide some context as well before I get to the question, if that's okay.
Of course.
Um, So when I saw, Ray, that you wanted to do these kinds of sessions, I was thinking like, oh my God, there's one in my head that I'm currently battling with. And so, as I said, I've recently started out as a creative virtual assistant, and I made the decision very quickly, and I just jumped like both feet in and have the utmost confidence in my ability. I really do. And my ability to make money, which,
Yes.
thanks, Ray, that's definitely from going through plenty. But then I noticed that I had these little pots of money, but at the time also needing money now. And I have all
Yeah.
these pots of money which are saved up for later, saved up for February, because I've just come out of a job where I've been paid every month. So I'm in
Yeah.
that frame of mind. And there are some, kind of startup costs, I guess, related with becoming a virtual assistant. And I needed to spend money. I wanted to spend
Yes.
money on programs, on co-working space, things like that. But even though I had the utmost confidence in myself and knew that I could work it out and I could make that money, I found myself so absolutely resistant and terrified of spending that money. And so it brought me to the question of, where's this discrepancy coming from? And how do I get my actions to match up with my feelings in terms of how confident I'm feeling? So it's that difference between, I guess, the theory of the way I'm feeling and then the practical of, but then I'm stopping myself from making investments in things that will make my life easier, that will probably help me make more money.
Yeah. When you have that, so you have that thought, I should spend the thing, I need to spend this money on a thing. And then there's that fear, but I can't do it. Is it like I can't do it? Is it just a general feeling of unease around the idea of it?
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. It feels like you don't even know what money's coming in. How could you go and spend, 100 or 200 on something? No, it definitely feels like there's an unease, and there's like almost a confusion. Like I'm confused.
So before we start these sessions, I sort of talk to the person that I'm going to be chatting to around safety parameters and stuff. So as I say this one, I'm going to ask it in a very like intentional way. I want you to think about whose voice that is, but the question I'm going to ask you is that your voice?
Oh.
And if you want to share, if it's not your voice, you want to share whose it is, you can, but don't feel you have to.
That's a really good question. I'm not 100% sure, but the thing that I thought of first was having a conversation with my partner a little while ago, and he goes, well, that makes sense, Sofaya, because my dad's voice in my head, what my dad would always say is, it's not your money until it's in your pocket, until it's in your bank account, until it's yours. So how can you spend money you don't have? Yeah. So I guess it is my dad's voice. Yeah. My dad's voice, but it's actually like melded so well with my voice.
Oh yeah, it will be. Yeah. But it's checking in of like, is that something? So this is it. Like when we're cultivating a new belief, and that's what you're doing, right? You went through, so Sofaya did, as she mentioned, did plenty. You're cultivating this belief that, you know, there is plenty of money, that you are. And I just did a podcast interview with Natalie Miller, who's an amazing coach, and she talked a lot about being a conduit of money and the way that money flows through us rather than us being the receptacle for money. For so people who are not, Sofaya looked like, what? What is this new idea?
That just boggled my mind.
Right.
But I know what you mean.
It's that idea that, like, you know, my question when you sort of said that thinking that goes in your head, it's not yours till it's in your pocket, is it ever yours?
No, because it goes straight out of my pocket again anyway.
Right. and what is it for? I'm not saying there's not good things to save up for. I'm not saying it's not a good idea to have pockets of money, like, you know, saving pots and all of that stuff, but we don't have the money for the sake of having the money, right? We have the money to give us a feeling of safety and security.
Yeah.
Or to buy a house, or to pay for, if we have children, to pay for something for them, or, you know, like there's purpose to it.
Yeah. Money is for spending. No, I see what you mean about the conduit.
Yeah.
Just flows through us. Yeah, definitely. I think the other kind of big insecurity was just that, you know, I'm used to money coming in at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And being there to pay off, you know, pay my rent, pay for all my various things. And that wasn't going to happen this month. Even though this is a thing where it's like there's two opposing forces at play. One of the reasons that I went fully self-employed is because I hate getting paid every month. I hate it. I've hated it for ages, and like I'm so resentful towards the fact that I feel so insecure because I'm not getting money at the end of the month, knowing fully well that that's not how I want to operate anyway.
But equally, and you said this yourself, you said, I'm in the mindset of being paid every month, and you've been conditioned by what you've experienced, and you've been conditioned by society that says that's the sensible, correct thing.
Oh yeah.
And I wonder, I was writing this down, I wonder if that money that you were talking about, spending it on courses and support and things like that, if you were spending it on the down payment, like a deposit for a house, a very like societally sanctioned good way to invest in something, do you think you'd have had the same resistance?
I think it would have maybe still been kind of hard to let go of. Yeah.
Do you think you would have let go of it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And did you with this stuff?
No, I haven't.
Right.
I haven't. And actually I was thinking when you were saying, you know, the kind of thing I'm looking to spend on support, I was thinking in my head, but I'm actually just trying to buy something really sensible, like a CRM.
Right.
So it is like a sensible cost, but can I do without it? Yeah, but I will also work so much harder.
And if we zoom out a bit, I guess the question is, and you know that this is like, we're talking kind of your safety brain here, what it thinks, and your society conditioned parts of your brain. The thing is, it is an investment in a business that I wonder if your brain thinks is sensible or not sensible. Risky or not risky?
I think risky. Like maybe on the lower end of risky, but still risky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, because of that conditioning, which I have a lot of feelings about kind of being employed, which is probably kind of what's coming out there. Yeah.
So let's look at a place where, because I know you are such a good person for me to ask this question to, let's look at a place where you've broken out of societal conditioning about the way something should be.
Oh, so many things.
Right. So tell me about how did that process happen?
Oh, this is so good. Okay. So as I said, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about beauty standards and how they are bullshit. And that is the clearest thing I can think about in terms of stepping out of the, societally defined box. Being a fat woman, and a fat woman who chooses to be very visible online and in the real world. And I think that there's no big defining moment for any of that. It's all been just a process of getting more and more and more comfortable. And as my therapist would say, being a rebel at heart. And just not wanting to do what everyone's telling me to do.
Yeah.
And then just continually building on that and building on that. And I'm still building on that.
And do you remember the first time you went into a shop and you were going to buy something that you'd been brought up to believe somebody like you is not allowed to wear? Do you remember like the first moments you did that, or was that more of a gradual thing?
I don't remember. I think it's just because I've got a terrible memory though. But I'm thinking more of like when people would say things to me on the street, nice things.
Yes.
I always remember I'm not sure how many years ago this was, but I was walking down the street and I was wearing this like really dark green lipstick. And this big guy who, yeah, I don't know, I just would never have thought would have said anything positive to me about makeup, stopped me and said, that's an amazing lipstick. And I was gobsmacked.
I thought you were going to say he said something mean. No, that's amazing.
I was so shocked, and it stayed with me. Like I can remember where exactly I was on the street, and I was like, oh my God, okay. So people aren't thinking what I think they're thinking. They're thinking completely different things, or they're not thinking about me at all.
But you had to wear the lipstick first, right, to get the comment.
Yeah.
And so, like in kind of in answer to your question, I think you've answered your own question. Can you hear that you have? Do you want me to reflect it back?
I feel like I can't. No, I need it to be said.
I'm gonna say it. So how do we get our actions to catch up with our feelings? Just like you just said, bit by bit. Reciprocal moments of vulnerability, which is a kind of like moment by moment, like these vulnerable bits, which is a kind of play on a Brené Brown quote, but like moment by moment, what we do is we notice. So we look at ourselves, we trust ourselves for starters. So we trust the part of you. And I want to say really clearly, it is so normal to have exactly what you're describing, Sofaya, that like, I think this thing on one side, and I think this directly opposing thing on the other side. And both thoughts exist in my head at once. And then because you are like a beautifully self-aware person, you recognize both those things, and it makes you feel more confused, because it's like, but a lot of people don't recognize it. That's when it's cognitive dissonance, where you don't even realize you're holding these two thoughts, in the same way it happens with internalized fat phobia all the time. you know, I both think I look absolutely fine like this, and I also believe I cannot wear that at the same time. So you have this thing of like, on one hand, I absolutely believe I can make the money that I need to make in my business, and I'm really scared of letting go of any of it in case I don't. And so in the past, when you've noticed those, and I'm sure you've had internalized fat phobia stuff to work through, because I think all of us do, actually, regardless of body shape, all of us do as well, like different levels, but it's prevalent, so more prevalent than it's talked about. You've taken small steps, right? Bit by bit, laid it moment by moment. But I think the really lovely thing about what you said about the story of that guy is to get the evidence that it was okay, you had to do the thing.
Oh, I think, okay, I want to ask you a question, if that's okay.
Of course.
What kind of steps can I take? I don't know. What kind of steps do you think I could try to let go? Because even if I am doing them, I genuinely can't see them.
I think you could buy the CRM.
Yeah.
If you think like, and I say that as like, if you sit there and the bit of your brain and the bit of your body as well, because it's not just your brain, the parts of you that are like, we have got this, if you think they're onto something, then it's, you know, it's what Elizabeth Gilbert says about not letting fear drive. I want you to listen to the parts of you that are unsure. I don't want you to feel like you have to suppress those and be like, no, because we are a confident business owner now, and so we don't listen to any of that stuff, any of the worries. Listen to them. They might have a point.
Yeah.
But they might not. You might be like, hey, those parts of Sofaya, you are in employed Sofaya's world. We're not in that world anymore. I've got these other bits that understand that we need to be moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. It's finding the difference between those two things, because I am trying to acknowledge the fact that this is something I haven't done before in this way. This is something new for me, and so things are just going to feel uncomfortable because they're new. But then it's like separating those from the things that feel uncomfortable because I am not making decisions where I know what decisions I want to make.
There's a third element I want to bring into it as well, and that is that you might be making the wrong decision, and that's okay. Because when we operate from a place of plenty, and I know you understand that concept thoroughly, there's always more money to be made. We never ever know 100% that we're making the right choice. But what's important is that we're moving forward and taking action. And when we are not taking action from a place of scarcity and fear, this is one of my check-ins. And actually, I said this in the last one of these coaching podcast episodes. One of my check-ins is, am I making this decision from a place of fear and scarcity, or am I making this decision from a place of growth and expansion and from a place of plenty? And it is I think we forgive ourselves more readily when we know we made that decision from a place of plenty than when we held back because we were doing it from a place of scarcity.
Yeah, I'm just thinking I need to re-listen to this and write that down, and I will. But also, I think what I'm realizing is that I've been really hard on myself this month, and I'm treating my decisions with so much more weight than I probably need to. And it's hard. It's because I've come, you know, with my part-time job, I was there to do my work and get it done and leave. And like, I think everybody knew quite clearly that I cared about my work insofar as I needed to get it done. And then that was it. Like my sense of self, I suppose, in a way, was not tied to it at all. And now it really is tied to it. Like, I want to do a good job. Like, I'm really afraid of making mistakes. I'm just finding that I'm putting myself, you know, under a lot of pressure. And again, I know that's just because it's new, it's because it's uncomfortable, but it's about the balance, isn't it?
And it's about giving yourself space and time to go from one to the other.
And I think I'm just trying to make that space and time so small, and it's just not practical.
Before we finish up, because I think this has been an awesome episode of like lovely things, I think it's going to be so useful for people to hear, but I want to leave you with one thing from a book, I think it's by William Bridges, called Transitions, where he talks about this concept of, we often think that with an ending comes a beginning, and he says we miss out the fallow period in the middle. What often happens is we end something, we don't really know who we are or what's going on there or what we're grabbing onto, and then we figure that out, and that's when the beginning starts. And we try and rush through those fallow periods because they're not very comfortable. And he's like, it's so important to notice that fallow period and allow it. And I know from speaking to like my supervisor, my coaching supervisor, she always says, you can't rush that bit.
Yeah, it
is what it is. And so that kindness to yourself, that acceptance of failure, and that noticing, you know, I hate to say this, I want to say to you, there'll be no failure, it will be fine. But the more you can step into the knowledge of inevitable failure and it not being bad at all, the more freedom you'll have to show up as the person you are. And just over time, you'll find like those beliefs are now in your actions. And that's when you know you truly believe them. While they're theory, you're not embodying them and you don't actually believe them. And that's fine. But it's practicing and actually living the beliefs where you're like, I know this now.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. I think I thought I was rushing straight into a beginning, from, you know, but that's the January effect. When actually I'm in some kind of grey space in the middle, and my beginning, I don't think my beginning has begun yet. So and I probably wouldn't know until, with hindsight, when the beginning actually happens. So,
and in some ways it's both right now, as in you can claim that space right now, because there's, like you say, there's never going to be a moment where it's official and it works. And in other ways, exactly like you said, you're also not quite sure of where the line is, where this starts to feel like it's yours. And both of those things can be true all at once.
So good.
So do you want to just say a bit like what feels like your main kind of takeaways from that?
I think definitely the beginning thing, because I the thing is, I've been saying things to that effect, but not granting it to myself. So I've been saying like, I'm going to do it for Q1 for 3 months, and then, you know, once it hits April, I'm going to have an actual think about what I want, what's going on, game plan, business plan, and all of that. So I've been saying that, but at the same time thinking like, oh, it's starting now, it's already started, I need to catch up.
I'm already behind.
So I think just giving myself those 3 months of space just to figure it out and try things and fail and succeed and everything, and know that it's fine. Like, it's just a thing that happens. It's not, I have a post-it note actually up in front of me that says, relax, Sofaya, like, no one's gonna die, it's fine. That's
the best advice I got in one of my jobs. We're not doctors. No one's gonna die.
So look at those post-it notes a little bit more, I think. That's really, really great.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. That was most enjoyable.
I needed that today.
I'm glad it was good timing.
It was all right. Good timing.
Thanks everybody for listening. Look out for these episodes. I imagine we're going to kind of sprinkle them around the other episodes. And if you would like to get on one of these episodes, send me a DM on Instagram and we'll see what we can do. All right. Thank you.